passes till someone stops and says, "Are you okay?" And he discovers that he passed away already. So this shook up all of Israel, and the policeman stopped. Driver said, "Why didn't you stop for this guy?" And the driver said, "We thought someone else would stop. We were driving, we were busy. We thought someone else would stop." Which brings us to a question: how do you know when it's your role to do something, or when it's someone else's role to do something? Someone else could always do what you're doing, seemingly. So how do you know when it's your thing or it's someone else's? How can you tell? So I'm going to analyze this from Can you hear me now, Roberto? Is that better? Roberto, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. All these machines aren't the best thing to use. Okay, Chaim. So when he announces he says there were 12 pieces of paper, and they put 12 pieces of paper in one hat, 12 pieces of paper in another hat. In each piece of paper, it said another area of the land of Israel in one hat, and the other hat it had the names of every one of the tribes. And Elazar, the high priest, announced, if I pick up area C, I'm going to pick up the tribe of Yehuda. And that's what happened. He picked up area C, and then all of a sudden he picked up another hat, the tribe of Yehuda. And then another miracle happened, which was that the paper itself spoke and said, I am the paper of the tribe of Yehuda, and I have area C. So this extraordinary miracle of the vision of the land of Israel was only with the land of Israel, not with anything else. So the question is, why is it that Hashem had Israel divided by a lottery, and other things weren't divided that way? Moshe wasn't given his status that way. When people tried to usurp the right of the Kohanim, they were swallowed in the ground. But here, Hashem protected the rights. Right? Some people tried to usurp the authority of Moshe Rabbeinu, was swallowed in the ground, like the story of Korach. But here, the vision of the land of Israel is with a lottery. What does this mean? There's a lot about tzedakah. Who has preference when you give out tzedakah? Who's supposed to get tzedakah first? Yes, Avram?
I'm in the duck. Okay. Yeah, sure. Fix that.
Yes, if you get tzedakah first to your parents, your father and mother go first.
Yeah.
After your father and mother go, your siblings, your family, then your neighbors, your city, then people shall live farther from you. You have obligation first to your family. Why is obligation to your family go first? So you think you give tzedakah, right? Give tzedakah anyone you want to. The Torah says no. You have obligation to your family first. Why? Hashem, before you were born, announced who is your wife, which city you're going to live in, and what your profession is going to be. Announced 4 days before you're not born, before you conceive. Hashem wants us to know that where we live, you think like where you live is not so important. Where you live is decided by destiny, by a lottery. By a lottery means that it's your destiny. It was not something which is you think it's. I liked Los Angeles. I decided Los Angeles was good for me. Hashem is telling you where you live is your mission in life. You decide to marry this person. It wasn't just you decide. You were involved, but Hashem orchestrated events that you're here. That's why always you see a theme in the Rebbe's letters. People always are guided to find where to make it work where they live. Generally, there are exceptions, but generally, the Rebbe says to try to make it work where you live. Divine providence, you're here. There's a mission for you here, and that's why you have to give tzedakah to your family first. Hashem, you weren't just hatched out of an egg. You were born in a family with circumstances that were ordained by Hashem, and therefore your obligation first is to the ones that can put in your life first. Your obligation to them first. It's not the fault of someone else. They didn't have a rich uncle. But if you have a rich uncle, okay, let's not talk about your rich uncle. Let's talk about your rich nephew. I mean, you being the rich uncle and you have a nephew who needs your help. So you have obligation to your nephew first. They're your nephew. You could help them. You have to help them first. They're your family. You're obligated to help them first. Why? Hashem put them in your life. You're responsible for them. That's what Rashi is trying to tell us with the words. Do not stand by the blood of your friend. Don't stand idly by. Rashi is saying you saw this happen. If you saw this happen, it means there's something you could do about it. Why did Hashem show it to you? Whatever Hashem shows you is for a reason. Hashem showed you this guy drowning that you're able to save. There's a discussion about the intro to this mitzvah. It says, do not do any tail bearing, and do not stand by the blood of your neighbor. So the way the Torah phrases it sounds like they're connected. So other commentaries, they explain that there's a story in Tanakh about Doeg telling King Saul about someone who provided a safe haven for King David, and because of this, King Saul destroyed a whole a city of Kohanim, city of Nov. So it happened because he spoke ill of someone. So he spoke ill of the Kohen Gadol. And this is what cause death. So we're saying that sometimes you could speak about something that could cause death. That's how other commentators understand the connection. But Rashi looks at this mitzvah and he says there's something direct the Torah is telling you about you and your circumstances and where you are and your responsibility to who's around you in your life. It's not just about acting kindly to others. It's about realizing your place where you are. You saw this happen, Rashi. Rashi focused on what you saw. You saw this means you can do something. See something, that means you can do something. Let's look at the story of David, of Yosef and his brothers. Yosef famously is taken by his brothers, and they are upset at him, and they throw him into a pit. What happens next? So Reuven wants him to be thrown into a pit, and he has in mind, I'm going to go come save him later, and then Reuven is called away, or he calls himself away to go serve his father. In the interim, when Reuven goes to go save his father, to go assist his father, it's his turn to go work to service his father. Yehuda goes and says to his brothers, "Why should we kill him? Let's sell him." And they sell him into slavery, and the rest we know. So it's interesting, Yaakov's perspective on the story. When Yaakov blesses his children, Yaakov criticizes Reuven, and he praises Yehuda. Now think about the just looking at this in a very peripheral, superficial level. Who is better in the story? Reuven is trying to save his brother, just put him in the pit, and I have an obligation to go help him serve my father. I'm going to come back later and bring him out of the pit. Reuven comes back and he sees the child's not there, his brother's not there, and so okay, but he tried, he did his best. It seems he did his best. He went to go. He told his brothers, "Guys, I'm the oldest brother. I want you guys to put him in the pit. Don't kill him." But what Reuven didn't realize, but there were snakes and scorpions in the pit. Putting in the pit was actually a death sentence to Yosef. Yehuda, on the other hand, it seems like in the periphery of the story, he says, "What gain do we have from killing our brother? We gain anything? Let's better do something else. Instead of killing him, you know what we should do? Let's sell him. We'll gain something. Killing him doesn't give us anything. Let's sell him. If we sell him, we'll have something." So it seems like Yehuda's out for the money. Reuven is very concerned. He's very aware of his conscience, and he wants to do the right thing. And yet Yaakov looks at Reuven and he criticizes him, and he looks at Yehuda and he praises him. Why? So let's look a little bit deeper on who Reuven was at this time in his life. When Reuven's mother passes away, when Yaakov's wife Rachel passes away, Reuven is zealous for his mother Leah's honor, and he wants that Yaakov should now look at her as his main wife. And instead, Yaakov had made a decision honoring the concubine, and I don't know if that's the right English word, of the maidservant of Rachel, of his beloved wife Rachel, that she would now have preference of his 4 wives. The Reuven moved the bed of his mother into Yaakov's tent in order to say that she should be the main wife, and that wasn't the right thing to do, because that wasn't his business. He should have trusted Yaakov to know that Yaakov knows what the right thing to do is. It was considered a sin for him, and Reuven does teshuvah. Reuven is very remorse, and Reuven regrets this. And Reuven spends the rest of his life praying to Hashem and asking Hashem to forgive him for this sin. So when Reuven is looking at his brother being sold, what is he seeing? He's seeing, oh no, I'm going to be guilty again. My father's going to come over to me. My father's going to say to me, "Why'd you do this? Again, you messed up. Again, you were the oldest brother. Again, you made a mistake." Reuben's looking at this as something that would incriminate, would make him look. So Reuben is concerned about his responsibility for what's going on. And therefore, what does Reuben do? Reuben does the bare minimum that's needed to save his brother, because because his focus is on himself. The Torah says that if Reuven would know that God writes in the Torah that Reuven tried to save his brother, Reuven would have put him on his shoulders and brought him home. Reuven didn't realize, sorry?
The brothers were already set to kill him, so it was kind of like a negotiation.
It was a negotiation.
But it's in the spirit of his fault. If he would have done it in the complete opposite, they could have taken him there.
Possibly they would have. That's what was going on in Reuven's mind. I can't do more. I can't do more. But the Rebbe analyzes, why does he think he can't do more? In other words, the Gemara says, the Medrash says, if Reuben would know that the Torah writes about him, then Reuben would put his brother on his shoulders. If Reuben would feel, I'm the guy, divine providence put me here, I could save him, then Reuben would have done a lot more. He would have felt confidence, I can do more. It's because Reuben looked at himself only in this scenario as not a central character in the story. That's why he did only what he did. Had he understood that Hashem placed him where he was for this mission, he would have put him on his shoulders, he would have brought him home. Instead, Reuben was looking at more as far as his responsibility, his conscience. Am I incriminated? Is it my fault? And therefore, when he came to, I have a responsibility to go work for my father. It's all about him. He didn't realize, hey, dude, your brother's life is in danger right now. Forget about your tour of duty for your dad. It's not important right now. Your brother's life is in danger. You're the guy. You could save him. Didn't go into his mind. Yehuda, on the other hand, consistently shows leadership. Consistently shows that he appreciates his role as the one who could accomplish something. When we read in the story about how Tamar is going to be killed, Yehuda stands up. Yehuda saves her. Yehuda saves Yosef. Yehuda says, I'm the guy who can make the decision. So this is why Yehuda is praised and Reuben isn't. Because Hashem puts us in the world for a mission. We have to realize where we are, even simple things like where we decide to live, it's part of the mission of where Hashem has placed us. And therefore, we can't just say someone else will do it. If something that you saw, something that you're aware of, it has relevance to you. It's relevance to you. Now, Leon's holding this question back. The question is, Rabbi, there's things I've tried to do. I take responsibility for it. And you know what? It didn't work out. It didn't work out. There are things I tried to do. I rolled up my sleeves and I got hurt. And it all and it didn't come out like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It wasn't all perfect. It wasn't all good just because I rolled up my sleeves. And that's true. The question is, how do you know when you're meant to stop? You tried, you took a responsibility. Now it's Hashem is saying to you, okay, move on to something else. How do you know? So there's a discussion in the Gemara about divorce, which is very relevant to this discussion because marriage is also about, as we said, before you're born, Hashem announces who you're supposed to marry. So it's very connected to your destiny in the world. Yeah. So there's a discussion about how do you know when it's time to marry someone, when time to end the marriage. The Gemara says that an altar cries when a man and a woman get divorced. How do you know when it's time? So there's three-way argument. One opinion is you found someone you like better, go ahead, get divorced. Other opinion is that no, you have to stay married. You can't get married, get divorced just because you found someone you like better, unless if she is ruining your dinner, then you should deliberately trying to ruin your dinner. Then and deliberately feeding you in a way that's annoying to you. Then time to move on. But there is another opinion, which is that unless you find that there is some kind of unfaithfulness, and she's with someone else, then you have to stay there. That's the Gemara discussed. There's different opinions about this. So this discussion in regards to marriage and divorce is beyond the purview of the class today. But let's talk about this discussion in regards to your soul's mission.
there is a way of looking at life and say, okay, I tried this mitzvah, we try another mitzvah that I like better. But that approach is ignoring ignoring the divine providence or Hashem has placed you in the shoes that He's placed you in. Another way of looking at it is, well, I'm having difficulty where I am. Not so easy for me. There's the food is being burnt on purpose, meaning that there's some kind of real frustration I have in what I'm doing. It's not so easy. It's bothering. It's bothering. So according to the first opinion, yeah, you could do that. You're allowed to if it's bothering you, it's hurting you, it's not so much fun. So then you could leave, and no one could blame you. However, the Talmud says we should be strict like Beis Shammai over here, and just because things are hard for you doesn't mean you should let go. Unless you find that it's spiritually untenable where you are, unless you find that this thing is it's not just difficult for you, but it's completely derailing you spiritually, like in the story in the analogy of the marriage and divorce, where the wife is unfaithful. Unless there's actually something that's derailing you, you have to stay. You stick to your guns. You stay on your mission. There may be some burnt dinners. There may be some situations where things aren't so easy, but you still have to hold on. Unless it's derailing you spiritually, the mission Hashem has placed you in. Hold on. I'm going to conclude with one story. Rabbi and Mrs. Shatai Sabatitsky were sent by the Rebbe to Belgium, and they were having a very hard time. They wanted to leave their post, and at that time they were speaking about how whenever he appoints an emissary, Talmud says one emissary could appoint a second emissary. So if you're appointed, you should also empower others to do the missions as well. Don't just look at your appointment as being exclusive, and appoint other emissaries as well. So they wrote a letter to the Rebbe. We have a great idea. We put us in this position. It's really not working out. Really having a hard time. However, we have a great idea. There's other people that would love this position. We'll stay here. We'll help them get set up. We'll go to Israel. We're both from Israel. We're both familiar with Israel. We'll do much better in Israel, and we'll help someone else join us here, and then we'll leave. Shliach or shliach. One emissary, as you say, should make another emissary. They wrote to them, the water has reached a nafesh. The water has gone above our nostrils. We can't handle it. Rebbe, very uncharacteristically, to this time period, the Rebbe totally erased, Rebbe crossed out the whole idea of bringing someone else. No, bad idea. Instead, Rebbe said, the Shigis Ermin, Talmud says, Solomon says, there's more light when it comes to the darkness. There will be more light now because you have such frustration, such anxiety, such angst. There'll be more light. Instead, what Rebbe say you should do? You should use out your soul powers, your energy, your power, where you are fully in the place you're in. Underline that. Use out the power you have fully in the place you're in. And all of a sudden, the curtains opened, and they saw amazing success, step after step, day after day, month after month, year after year, till they're there still today, and they did amazing things. And continue doing these amazing things. What changed? What changed wasn't just the Rebbe's blessing. The Rebbe gave his blessing before they left in Belgium, in Antwerp. What changed was their perception. The Rebbe said, "You're here to stay. Use out all your soul powers where you are. This is where Hashem has placed you." That's what opened the curtain. That's what changed things. And that's why the Shem puts this Torah portion uniquely among all Torah portions. This Torah portion was given to us differently than other Torah portions. Other Torah portions, there was a certain system of how Hashem presented it to us. First, Hashem told Moshe the mitzvah. Then Moshe would call in Aaron, and he would tell Aaron the mitzvah. Then Moshe would call in Aaron's children, and they would come in. And then and then he called the elders. And the elders would come in, and Moshe told them. Then all the Jewish people would hear the mitzvah. Here, Moshe says, this is the one place in the Torah that we find this, and the other place, Parshat Yakel. Everybody come together. This is something important. Attention came our choppers. I got to tell this to you. That's how this mitzvah was presented. Because this Torah portion is highlighting the unique responsibility, not just responsibility, but the unique mission each of us has in the place Hashem has placed us in. That's why the title of the Torah portion is Kedoshim. Kedoshim means you're holy. You're holy. Being holy means that there's not just a mitzvah to serve Hashem in your in the specific things Hashem has commanded us to do, but even in things which are not commanded to do, even things which there's no official mitzvah. You're on your own. You could do whatever you want. It's kosher food, it's kosher drink, it's kosher money. Seemingly do whatever you want with it. But there's one mitzvah that changes the whole color of the Torah. Hashem says, be holy. That means whatever you do has to be for the purpose of Hashem's mission. Either you're serving Hashem, or you're not serving Hashem. That's what this mitzvah changes. That Hashem, even though it's kosher and fine, Hashem says, you have to realize, I placed this world with the things I put in your life. A mitzvah is not just about fulfilling an obligation. Hashem, with this mitzvah of being holy, Hashem is changing the identity of the Jewish people. He's saying to us, I gave you these mitzvahs. I want you to be connected to me. It's not about fulfilling obligations. I want you to be connected to me because I've created your whole persona. You have a mission. You are not a separate entity. You're not someone who's on the outside. Hashem is saying, you're my child, and I want to be connected to you in everything that you do. Words of King Solomon, all your ways you should know. That's why this mitzvah was given to us, all of us together, because it's a very fundamental thing. My Nachmanides says, you could be an abominable person with the Torah's permission without this mitzvah. You could be abominable. You could find all kinds of kosher things to do all day, which are disgraceful, and they're officially kosher. But this mitzvah changes the color of the Torah. It says Hashem defines what Jewish people are. They're meant to be a holy nation connected to God. God says, I am holy, I want you to be holy. This is very relevant to the time we're in now, the last moments of the exile for the coming of Mashiach. The coming Mashiach is about Hashem's presence being manifest in the physical world, about the Jewish people being revealed as Hashem's chosen people, being one with Hashem. So to connect to this time, to prepare for this time, Hashem tells us to look at yourself not just as someone who has obligations to some foreign master, but that you are a holy person. You have connection. There's something in you that's part of Hashem, and your life, all the circumstances in your life, are part of that mission. L'chaim, l'chaim. L'chaim, l'chaim. Any questions, comments, criticism?
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
What is Jewish means?
Chodesh?
I mean, berry. Berries.
So I'm not sure if I hear you. Say again.
What is berry means?
Spell it.
What is berries? What is mean?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Yeah.
Write it down.
You don't want to write it down, Avemo?